Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the 2022 Year Ahead Vedic Astrology readings. So these readings will be looking at the planetary placements in the year ahead. So the planetary placements on January 1st, 2022 and how they relate to your chart. Of course, as usual, to get a more in-depth personal reading, a personal reading will be required. And I am opening up readings for year ahead readings, Vedic astrology, Western astrology, as well as some tarot reading options. And the link is below in the description box for that. Also, if you're interested in taking one of my online courses that I offer over on Teachable, those will only be available through the end of 2021. And those include the Journey Through the Nakshatras course and Shedding Light on Your Karma and Dharma. Those courses include PDFs and downloads. So if you're interested in those, you want to get them before they're not available anymore, check below, find the links. I'll pin them at the top of the comments as well so you can find them and see if it's something you're interested in. All right, let's get on to our year ahead readings. Hi Pisces, welcome to your 2022 year ahead Vedic astrology reading. So here we have a chart for January 1st, 2022 set up with you, Pisces, as your first house. So you can see how this lays on top of your natal chart and how the planets align and what drishtis are there. So, but looking at the placement of the planets as the year begins sort of sets the energy in motion. There is a lot of focus on your 10th house of career. So your 10th house of career is the sign of Sagittarius. And both you, Pisces, and your 10th house, so Pisces and Sagittarius, are both ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter, your ruler in your year ahead chart, is here in your 12th house. So Jupiter ruling you and your 10th house, 10th house of career. In the 12th house of the psyche, the house of moksha, yoga, meditation, spiritual seeking, emotional and psychological health and well-being, the collective unconscious. I sense many Pisces will be tapping, I'll say deeper because you're Pisces, you tend to be pretty deep, tapping deeper into the inner aspects of yourself, whether that's emotionally, psychologically, psychically, or spiritually. And it's likely to be a combination of all that because they're not really separate from each other. Tapping deeper into that within yourself, that will both bring expansion to who you are and your career in 2022. Now, if you're struggling with emotional healing, any psychological problems, I do recommend, finding a therapist, a counselor. If you need guidance, because Jupiter Guru's guru, the teacher. If you need guidance on your spiritual path, seek out a teacher, a guru, however that may play out, depending on what your spiritual path is for each of you individually. But that process, that deep inner process, is going to enhance you and your career. Okay. Looking at the planets in your 10th house of career on January 1st, we have Venus, the Sun, and the Moon. I'm going to talk about the Moon in a bit because he actually moves on the 1st. He is approaching exact conjunction with the Sun. The new moon is actually on January 2nd, but we are approaching that new moon energy. And you could say it is new moon energy for your career. So however you grow internally, however you expand emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually in the year ahead, it's going to also not just expand your sense of self in your career, but bring in new beginnings, you can say, to your career. Venus here, Venus, creativity, luxury, beauty, love. Retrograde internalizes her energy, or Shukra, his energy more. You may be questioning through your inner processes, right? The expansion of learning, you could say learning more about your psyche in the whole sense of psyche, right? Emotions, emotional mind, and spiritual soul. That fuels or sparks or develops, I'm trying to find the right words here, creative potential that you have not yet tapped into from deep within yourself that is then going to play out in your career, whether it's actually a new career path, a new job, a new view or attitude or spiritual stance towards your career, for example. It's going to tap into creative potential deep within yourself. You have a lot of second chakra energy coming up that will, greatly influence the path of your career in the year ahead. The sun here, sun in the 10th, you will shine in your career. The sun, of course, represents your soul. It's your person. It's the soul significator. But in a transit chart like this, the sun in 10th house is you will shine in your career. Follow that inner guidance. Follow what grows and expands within your psyche to help tap into that creative potential so that you can shine brightly in your career, whether it's the same career path you've been on or actually a new one. So this is all really good energy here. The moon here. So for these charts, I adjust the time on January 1st to get whomever I'm reading for, and Pisces in this case, to the first house. So you can see how this lays on your chart. But at midnight on January 1st, the moon is actually still in Scorpio in the nakshatra of Jeshta with Mars. So I'm going to read the moon in both positions because it moves on that day, at least for the signs for which the moon has moved. Again, the moon here, I feel that new moon energy, so there can be quite a lot of new beginnings. The new moon is also dark, so some Pisces may not know exactly where their career is going as this creative potential comes to light and as you shine. But let your inner guidance, your spiritual practice, your psychic guidance guide you so that helps it to grow and expand. At midnight, with the moon here in Scorpio in the nakshatra of Jeshta, this is your 9th house of religion, philosophy, spirituality. It's also publication and politics and government, law, higher education. Did I say that already? In very, deep, intense, transformative Scorpio energy. I feel this ties into the energy of the 12th house. Yeah, and so we have Mars here too, right? Passion, he rules Scorpio, ambition, as well as conflict, and K2 here. So in a transit chart like this, I look at K2 as more the past, as in 2021, but potentially any length of time in the past in your life, depending on each Pisces situation out there. In a natal chart, it's past karma. But again, and past lives, but as a transit chart, it more focuses on the past and past karma of this lifetime, at least the way I read it. So with the moon here at midnight, really setting off the new year for you, conjoined Mars in the nakshatra of Jeshta, that Gandanta point, this feels very Mars combative. Whatever inner conflict, maybe possibly spiritual conflict, ideals conflict, political conflict even for some, that you've been facing in the past year, or, more length of time in your past, your individual past. I feel you're going to move out of that because the moon is moving here on the first of the year for you. Moving away from that. K2, separating away from the conflict that has affected you emotionally with the moon. That's been intense. That has to do with your religious views, your spiritual views, your life philosophy, your political views, and how that has affected you and played out. And that's adding to this diving deeper into yourself for emotional, psychological, spiritual healing and growth and expansion. Okay. Opposite K2, of course, is Rahu. Rahu is over here in your 3rd house. 3rd house is a house of communication, all forms, writing, texting, talking, giving speeches, normal everyday communication, your community, your neighbors, your siblings, and short distance travel or commuting. With Rahu here, that brings in more of a drive, a motivation, what I'm sensing, to communicate your feelings. To communicate your feelings. Because again, as the year begins at midnight, the moon is still here. But you won't want to communicate your feelings if there's going to be conflict, and not until whatever dives within you are doing that you get clarity from within your psyche. I hope that makes sense. You're Pisces, you probably do. Okay. And then, of course, the nodes, Rahu, Ketu, the karmic axis here, third house communication, ninth house publication, or putting what you want to say out there. When this Mars energy has cleared to a certain degree, and again, you get clarity, you get understanding from deep within through your spiritual path or, emotional healing, etc. This karmic flow of having something to say or write, etc., and getting it out there, it will go easy. I feel it will go easy. But wait till some of this is cleared. For some, you'll feel this going into the year, for some, sometime during 2022. Again, it depends on your chart and how these planets and what drishtis these planets have on your planets in your chart. So lastly, Pisces, let's look at your 11th house, which is gains from career. It's a sign of Capricorn, and Saturn, who rules Capricorn, is here. He is very strong in this position. Saturn, yes, is obstacles and challenges, but also patience and stability, foundations, and long-term energy. So when it comes to gains from your career, whatever you're doing here, whether it's expanding, right, Jupiter ruling this house, expanding your career, starting a new career, adding in whatever creative potential rises up, however you implement that, it's going to help with long-term gains from your career. It doesn't necessarily mean that all those gains come in, right? It's long-term. It's going to help your gains from your career build for years and years to come. Now, Mercury is also here, the intellectual mind. Mercury and Saturn together make very organized and stable energy. Because Mercury also rules technology, and the 11th house is house of networking, I do feel like establishing or growing upon networks you already have, whether that's for business, career, or social networks. I feel a lot of technology energy with this Mercury. I mean, we all do stuff with technology, but it's really focusing on your network, and it feels more career orientated. That is in alignment with whatever you understand, expand within your psyche this year, right? Things becoming more into alignment with your inner self. That is very important. If it's not, then Saturn's going to throw all sorts of obstacles in your way for networking, for social life, etc. And this energy could also, Saturn, again, very strong here. When it comes to social life in general, that could bring in the energy of not wanting to socialize as much, or continue, and I'll say it this way because of the pandemic, continue socializing more through technology and from a distance, especially if you're doing this deep dive, your ruler in the 12th, within yourself. You may not feel like going out so much, especially, this energy is not socializing superficially at all. So you want to communicate with people who also have depth, who are intellectual, you have things to talk about and communicate about with, or keep it mostly like through Zoom or Skype, FaceTime, whatever, how it probably has been for you, for many of you at least, through the pandemic. Yeah, it's like there's no time for you this year for superficial socializing. You got a lot of depth going on, and you got a lot going on in growing, expanding, or starting a new career, Pisces. Okay, so that is your year ahead look at the energies that start off the year for you, Pisces. Down below in the description box are all the relevant links. And thank you again, and have a wonderful new year.